Replay viewers, I'm so glad that you could join me today. You see that? Day 21! I made it. There were a few days in there where I couldn't scope because I was sick or technical issues or something, but this is my 21st, good grammar, 21st day scoping. Hey everyone. So I'm not going to stop. No fear. I'm enjoying it way too much. Thank you. Happy Thursday. Nope, it's Wednesday, Patrice. This is just going to be an ongoing joke, isn't it? I love it. Yay for 21 days. Welcome. Okay. You're just cracking me up. I absolutely love it, Patrice. Thanks for coming in. If you are new, I am Melissa from MakerySpace.com, which is a site where I like to equip and educate and encourage Etsy sellers in the more left braid aspects of running their creative business. And I have information that works for non-Etsy sellers too. That's more general type of stuff, things that I have learned. But most of my focus is Etsy sellers. I'm just trying to find my little spot where I had written down a couple notes. Okay, so as you noticed from the scope title, I want to talk a little bit about communication with customers. So Elizabeth had sent a request to me asking me to talk about this on scope. So I'm just going to read you her email so that you get an idea of the background of her question, and then we can talk about this. I just had a customer ask if it was okay to email me because at the bottom of her Etsy email, I'm guessing she means her order receipt, it said not to communicate that way. For custom orders, I send multiple proof images, more than 3, which is a Convo max, plus Excel files, which won't attach to Convos. Email really is the best communication tool for me and my customers. Am I going against Etsy policies? So here is, oops, I'm sorry, I have one of those infrared heaters that if it starts to tip, it makes a weird noise. So there is nothing against Etsy policies when it comes to emailing customers. You are not in the wrong if you are communicating with them about their order via email. They even say, hey Jessica, in one of their help articles, they say, you know, if you've convoed a customer because you need further details for their order and they're not responding, then go ahead and email them instead of using the Convo system. So there is nothing against Etsy policies for using email. However, this is the caveat. When it comes to Etsy seller protection, I'm going to read it to you, one of the requirements is that you must communicate, hey Helen, with the buyer via conversations about the status of their order, any questions they may have, and any additional details agreed upon in the transaction. So if you have restricted your communication to all email, there could be a potential problem in you being protected as a seller if a case is opened against you, because the Convos keep all the conversation in one place and keep it permanently on Etsy, whereas emails can be deleted or they can be missed. You know, there's a lot of things problematic with emails. Now you would probably have to share with Etsy as evidence things that you discussed in an email if a case is opened against you and that's where all your communication took place. But it could be a her word against their word type of thing if the other person one person has deleted emails or altered them or whatever. So I'm sure they do that because they know the conversation system is not going to be tampered with and is going to show the history of the conversation. So in that situation, Elizabeth, I think that when you need to, right, there are certain files that can't be attached. So like Elizabeth said, she needs to attach Excel files. I think that totally do that via email. But this is what I would do. In a conversation, I would say, hi, Jane. I'm going to be sending along your blah, blah, blah attachments, Excel attachments, in an email to your address from your Etsy receipt. Please be watching for those. And then if you could respond to me in a conversation so that I don't lose track of our discussion, that would be great. So I always try to direct conversations back to the Convo system if someone emails me. but I don't want to make it look like, oh, I'm afraid that you're going to open a case against me and I want to have evidence. I just try to make it look like it's more convenient for both of us, and you're going to be having less risk of me missing your email. I want to pin it on myself that I might be likely to miss an email, whereas I'm not going to miss a convo. But if you need to send files that won't be attached to a convo, then I would say in a convo that you're doing this. So then if a case is open, something happens later, there is evidence that you said, I'm doing this, and then Etsy could ask for that particular email that you sent. So I would limit the amount of email proof that you would need to provide if a buyer opens a case against you. So I think the conversation system is the very best way to go if you can keep everything there. If you can't keep it there and need to use email, try to direct as much of the communication back to a convo as possible. So if you send those Excel files and the buyer responds to you via email, then I would go back to a convo and respond to that email you just got from the buyer to try to move everything back there. Phone. There are times when a buyer might say, hey, can I call you, or will you call me? Okay, I'm going to tell you, I hate the telephone. Hate it. Literally feel anxiety when my phone rings, okay? I feel weird saying that. I'm sure there are a few of you who can relate, but that is one thing that I just don't do. I don't see any need with my buyers to call them, because any decisions they're making are all visual and can be done online. Angie, you're funny. If you started talking, I knew it was you. I wouldn't feel anxiety though. Right, and there's no paper trail with telephone conversations either. Now, some people think, oh, that's just rude. You need to provide good customer service and have a phone number for customers to call you. I think for an online business, in most cases, it's really not necessary for customers to call, especially a small handmade business. If it can't be dealt with via email, then that would be different. But I just can't, off the top of my head, think of any scenarios. So if you do feel strongly about having a phone number available for buyers, then you might consider getting one. I think through Google Voice or something, you can get a free phone number. But I don't have a business number, and I don't really want to give out my cell number or my home number personally. So if I avoid that, and I have not had it. I've really not had any circumstances where the person actually needed to talk to me. I will say that like 3 years ago, I got this phone call from a man who wanted to buy a wallet for his wife, and that was a little bit creepy that someone looked up my home number and called me. He had never contacted me via Etsy or anything. He just cold called me out of the blue to order a wallet, and that was a little bit weird. So I'm sure you can imagine with someone with a phone phobia how much I love that. But I mean, it wasn't that huge of a deal. So, but that's up to you. Some people don't mind the phone at all, and I guess that he looked me up in the online white pages or something. And then, yeah, the texting can be a problem too, because then it could be bad enough if you have a really indecisive or super picky customer that you are going back and forth with, who's not making decisions and is eating up a lot of time via email, but it takes so much longer to text somebody than to be sending a convo or an email. So then that's taking even more time, and then it feels like an invasion of your privacy too, I think, when you're getting a lot of texts from a buyer. So I think it's okay to protect that part unless you have a separate business number and you are totally fine with being called on that business number, or even if you have a separate business cell number and you're fine being called or texted on that. But I think it's okay to protect your own home phone number. And Helen, I won't ask what the content of it was. I think it's okay to protect your own home phone number and your own personal cell number and not feel obligated to give those out, okay? So that is just my thought. And the carrier pigeon, of course, is just to be funny. So once again, keep it via Convo if you can. If there's something you have to email because you need to attach something that can't be attached to a Convo, bring it right back to the Convos. That way, I've actually had times where someone had emailed me and then and asked questions, and maybe I emailed back, and then later we're talking about their order, and I can't find in my conversations, I can't find where we talked about that thing. And then I realize, oh, they had emailed me, and then I have to go find that. So it just makes it so much more streamlined because you can search your conversations to try to find where you discussed something, especially with people that you might be going back and forth with a lot. And then you know that you'll be protected in the case of someone opening a case against you about an order. Any questions about that? But just know, you're not violating any of Etsy's policies. Oh, I wanted to make sure, or I wanted to say too that Elizabeth had mentioned she thought maybe it was at the bottom of her buyer's receipt. I just checked my most recent receipt for an Etsy purchase, and there's nothing on there. I am guessing that her buyer may have read what shows up at the bottom of a conversation email, which says, right next to the reply to button, it says, do not reply to this email. To reply to this conversation, view the message here, and has a link. So she may have misunderstood that statement, thinking, don't email. She must have just thought that it meant that. But I've never seen anywhere where Etsy says, do not email this seller or do not email this buyer. All right. Any questions? So this was my 21st day, but I am planning on continuing to scope each weekday, at least for a while. I'll see if it gets to be too much, I may go to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But as long as I keep thinking of topics and you keep giving me topics, which you're doing a wonderful job with, then I will keep scoping every day about these little things. So I hope you'll keep coming back. I'm having lots and lots of fun. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you. All right, so if you go to MakerySpace.com/scope, you can find a form for requesting a scope topic, or you can email me at melissa@MakerySpace.com. Also, you'll find any notes for the scopes on that page and any links that I have mentioned. Yesterday, I had talked about GoDaddy, and I put up that link for 30% off. I know that Angie bought it. Angie actually bought 2 years because she was asking me, would it be worth it to buy 2 years? And I told her, well, renewals are $9.99. They're not $7.99 a month. So if she had bought 1 year, then when she goes to renew next year, she'd be paying $9.99 a month. And if there are any active coupon codes, can't use them on existing products you already own. You can only use them on new products. So if you happen to decide to purchase GoDaddy Bookkeeping with that 30% off coupon, if you buy multiple years, you at least know, oh, good. You will love having that and having that all synced, all of your expenses synced with GoDaddy too. If you purchase several years, you will get that $7.99 reduced monthly rate plus the 30% off on top of that, whereas you won't get that if you pay for a year and have to renew next year. So that's just a little tip for you. If you have the money, yeah, I know. Now I kind of wish I had bought multiple years too, Helen. But at the time I didn't realize that you couldn't use them on renewals. If you have the money to pay for several years, then you would save quite a bit of money if you do it that way. So, okay, yeah. And if you end up buying it, have any questions, then I can definitely cover some of those questions in scopes as well. Alrighty. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you back here tomorrow about the same time.